In this video, I'm going to talk about how bending the straight arm rule has helped me climb harder and improve my technique. Hi, I'm Sarah from Ascend Edition, and today we're at Destin, Florida at the Rock Out Climbing Gym. One of the things that has helped me climb better is bending the straight arm rule, which a lot of beginners don't know about. Let's talk about what the rule is and when to use it, that way we know when to break it. The straight arm rule is a fundamental way of climbing by keeping your arms straight. One thing that straight arm movement does that no other movement in climbing does is that it helps ensure that you're using your legs. If you climb with bent arms, you're more likely to use your upper body strength to pull your body up the route. With straight arms, it forces you to move your feet into position to get you up the wall. Additionally, it helps better connect your body to your shoulders and core. If you climb with bent arms, your hands are connected to your core through the small muscles of your biceps and triceps, which is very small compared to when you engage your shoulders. With straight arms, it's easier to engage your shoulders and use the larger shoulder and in extension your lats, which is an essential part of your core. We're going to try a slightly easier climb to really get the point across about straight arms versus bent arms. So I'm going to do it first with bent arms, and then I'm going to repeat the moves with straight arms just so you can see what I'm talking about. The biggest key here to notice isn't that my arms are bent, but that I'm using my arms to get up the wall instead of using my legs. Climbing with straight arms was a bit slower of a movement than racing up with bent arms. However, you can see me pushing my body up with the power of my legs instead of my arms. My legs are built to support my body and my body weight, so it's a lot easier to do. So with straight arms, it's taking a lot less muscle to do it, so you can do a lot more climbing. Say I'm 10 moves up. If I was doing walk-offs the whole time, that's like doing 10 pull-ups. Whereas straight arms, I'm able to use my body, my lower body a little bit easier. Using your legs and activating your core is why everyone says that you're able to conserve energy and climb longer and harder. And it's true. Climbers that climb with bent arms typically complain about tired and sore arms well before other new climbers who use straight arms start complaining about their skin and hands. With all of this, you're probably thinking, yeah, I want that. And hopefully you'll climb with straight arms more often. However, there are times that you should bend your arms. It is so important that you bend your arms, in fact, that you'll likely be unable to complete the route when the straight arm rule needs to be bent. Before we get into that, it's important that you are practicing straight arms consistently so that you can actually leverage the benefits of climbing with straight arms and feel when you need to break that movement. Here are some tips to help you with that process. I'm going to try really using my feet and rocking over my feet instead of using my arms to pull myself over. Notice that I'm not just rocking over, but I'm also turning my hip in towards the wall, and I'm using my hips to put my body in a position that will allow me to keep my arms straight. Now that your feet and hips are in place, it's time to enlist your shoulders too. When you need to get closer to the wall to actually reach the next hold, instead of pulling into the wall by bending your elbow, pull your shoulder back like you would when your grandma scolds you for your poor posture. With your shoulder pulled back, there's one step to take it a little bit further, and that's enlisting the rest of your lats and your entire core. To do this, you're going to do a movement similar to a Russian twist, where your hips are facing the wall and you're going to pull your upper body sideways so that your shoulders are even further back and your core is super tight. There are two common scenarios in rock climbing that you'll need to bend your arm to complete. The first scenario is when you have to push to the next hold instead of pull. In a pulling position, you keep your arm straight by pulling in the opposite direction of the hold's positive edge. Say you're reaching up with your right hand, and instead of being able to hold on to the right side of the hold, you have to hold on to the left side of the hold. This move or position is often called a Gaston. Say thanks to the man named Gaston who came up with the name of that position. Now, instead of pulling away from the hold to maintain straight arms, you're actually pushing off of it to reach the next hold. This pushing motion bends the arm and thus bends the straight arm rule. Before talking about the next scenario, I do want to point out that when I reevaluated this footage,
I realized there may have been a way to avoid a Gaston and maintain the straight arm rule for this particular route. Instead of placing my right hand on the hold that I pushed off from, I could have likely maintained the right pole hold and positioned my feet to get the reach I needed to get to the next hold while keeping my arms straight. Since I can't go back and try it, I can use this as a learning lesson, reevaluate the available holds for your hands and feet, and see if there's a way to maintain straight arms. Scenario number 2 is heavily dependent on your body position, the sequence, and footing. In these scenarios, you'll be doing a move called a lock-off. A lock-off looks like a one-arm pull-up, but it's not. A one-arm pull-up requires you to lift your entire body with the strength of one arm. A lock-off, on the other hand, uses a combination of almost every muscle in your body, especially your legs, to push you into a position where your wrist gets as close to your shoulder as possible. You may think that a lock-off and a Gaston looks pretty similar, and they are similar in that they both require bent arms, but you're actually going to be looking at a difference in the pressure that you're putting on the hold. For example, in a Gaston, you're pushing away from the positive edge of the hold, whereas with a lock-off, you're pulling towards the hold, so your body is getting closer to the hold than it is when you are doing the Gaston. Now that you know a little bit more about when to bend the straight arm move and how to do that, you need to start putting this into practice. I've made a video all about Gastons, including what you need to do with your foot placement to make this move a lot easier. You can see that video here, so definitely check that out next.